So yeah, really glad to have you here. So I guess you've heard of Nano Banana. Have you already started to implement it in some of your systems, or like what are your first thoughts on it? Nano Banana. Do you know what it is? You haven't heard of it? Super, super cool to share that with you tonight and to be the first person to introduce it to you then. Do you want to pass the mic around? Yeah, yeah. It should be really interesting for you, I think. Yeah. Cool. Ah, cool. Love it. And are you in San Francisco or around that area or just more widely in California? Oh, Thailand, you said. Sorry, my bad. You live in Thailand, but your company is in California, in San Francisco. To hear it. Cool, I love it. I love to have another person here in content generation as well. So again, I think you'll be interested in what we have to talk about tonight. Do you want to pass the mic around? Yeah, yeah. So we'll be talking a lot about that tonight. As they say, it's over, as they say in the in the language when it comes to Photoshop. Do you want to? Yep. Love it. Love it. Good to hear someone else in the product space in the room. And Andrew, good to have you back. We need to start a hashtag AI curious. Yeah. Perfect. Good to hear it. Good to hear it. I think my microphone keeps switching itself off. Do you want to pass the mic around? Perfect. Super, yeah, super excited to have you here and to be starting with you on your AI journey. So before we begin, I just thought I'd point you in the direction, firstly, of my YouTube channel. So I record all these meetings. So if there's something that you want to go back to or that you hear me talk about on my YouTube channel, if you look for Harry Verity, I upload this, and I also do content for business people as well. So obviously, my business is AI to the world, helping developers implement AI in their systems. And if you kind of want a more, if you're a researcher or a dev and you want a more technical version of what I do, I also work for Gcore as well. So if you follow their YouTube channel, you get more of a developer technical insight into what we do. So this might be good for some of the devs and some of the full stack developers in the room. I do a weekly news video for them as well, which we've just started actually. So yeah, feel free to check that out. I'm going to see if I can get a different mic quickly because this keeps turning off. Let me see if I can get one. I think there's one here. All right, so hopefully that works a little bit better and you can still hear me. Just down here. So yeah, the first piece of news we're going to talk about, we're going to be talking about this in quite a lot of detail today, is Nano Banana. What is Nano Banana? Why has the AI world gone bananas, as I put cryptically in the AI founders chat? Nano Banana is a new image generation model from Google. It dropped, and what is crazy about it is you can simply upload a picture and it will combine two pictures together. It can get character consistency really, really well, and it makes things look incredibly realistic. It's a bit like OpenAI's image generator, but it's better. It's a lot more sophisticated. So if we look at the benchmarks, we can see that it just beats all the other models. If we try and zoom in on that a little bit, so we can see, so we can get it open for you. So yeah, we can see obviously we've got Gemini, and then we've got ChatGPT's 4.0 image generator. Flux is there, Quen is there. You might know Quen, Alibaba's model, the open source one, and then Gemini 2.0 Flash image. So it's called Nano Banana. This is technically Gemini 2.5 Flash. That's its technical name. But Google have been very clever with the marketing and gone with this banana idea, and it seems to have caught on. So there you can see every single benchmark. It's pretty much performing on character consistency, overall performance. And this is LM Arena. Creativity, the infographics, the object, and stylization. So, of course, you've heard me say this before, every time a model comes out, they put some benchmarks out, and it's kind of like a PR exercise now in terms of like they try and craft the environment so it's exactly right, exactly perfect, so that they can obviously have this as a like, wow, it's the next improvement. But in this case, I think it really is a step forward. So let's talk a little bit. I think it will be helpful to demo it, and we are going to demo it. And to see it in use, we've got it on hand today, so you can actually see it used. But it's in Gemini itself. So when you log on to Google Gemini, of course, now that's your way into VO3, into now Nano Banana, and also doing some of that deep research and using Gemini as a tool as well. So if you log into Gemini, you have access to this. It is also on FAL. FAL is a tool that lets you top up with a certain amount of credits, and you can then use those credits on whatever model that you want. So you could top up £10, and you can say, I'm going to use $1 of that on Nano Banana. I'm going to use $2 of that on Kling, image video generation model, and maybe I'm going to use $3 of it on a generation of VO. So it's really cool. You don't have to have a million different subscriptions. So it's on there. It's also, I hear, on OpenRouter as well, according to the developer blog. So some of the cool use cases are that you can maintain character consistency. So if you're on LinkedIn and you're in that echo chamber, you may have seen some of these posts going around. Met Elon Musk at the airport, had a detailed conversation about agent framework since we were both waiting for our flight. We're supposedly good friends right now. So some of these are better than others. You can kind of see it's a little bit not him. So you can essentially say, I want this person in a suit. I want this person in a sweatshop. It's really, really cool. Where's another one? Here's another one. This one's a better one, I think. So zoom in. Elon looking a little bit sunturned. After years of hard work, this finally happened. I met Elon Musk. So the point is, it's now very easy to make deep fakes. It's very easy to do all kinds of crazy, interesting stuff with this. But I think this is just touching the surface of what you can do. So today we're going to talk about some of what it can do. We're going to go into some of the developer blog that Google have put out, and then we're going to actually have a play with it ourselves. I'm going to show you some of the stuff I've made and some of the stuff other people have made with it. So this is always handy to go to. This is you've got the Google blog, which is for general readers, and then what you also have is the developer blog as well. So if you want to kind of go into more detail about what they're doing, always check out the developer blog. It's very insightful. So of course they're calling it Gemini 2.5 Flash, a state-of-the-art image model. Um, it enables you to blend multiple images into a single image. So this is really one of the amazing use cases of it. Is that you can literally get two images together, combine them. You can put yourself in a scene with someone. It's about 39 cents per image, and it costs 1,290 output tokens. So it's about $30 per million output tokens, which is pretty expensive, really, in the long scheme of things. So you can see how you can do character consistency, and you can do prompt-based imaging as well. So if you want someone in a red t-shirt, you can do it. From a black t-shirt, you can just change it in a second. It's been trained on native world knowledge. So it has historically, it says that image generation models have excelled at aesthetic images, but they've lacked a deep semantic understanding of the real world. Gemini 2.5 Flash is trying to change that. So if you were here last week, I'm not sure how many of you came to the meetup last week, we actually talked about 3D environment generators. So these are trying to basically create a very accurate sort of 3D environment that you can walk around. So it's a much more sophisticated, much more challenging thing to do that than it is to create a simple image. And if you look at some of the early video generation models, you'll notice they have a problem with physics. They sometimes lean over in a weird way. If you try telling the model to actually go, I want this person to go to the gym, and I want them to do squats at the gym, you'll notice that they're defying gravity a lot of the time when you see some of the outputs. They don't have that real world understanding. And so Google 2.5 Flash has tried to address that in some ways, and these 3D environment generators have tried to address that. One of the ways the environment generators have tried to address that is by actually creating their own neural network that is programmed on the physical world, on the rules of the physical world, and then tries to actually use that to apply that to the image generation models, and almost to give the image and the video generation models access to an understanding of physics and allowing that to apply it. So it seems Google DeepMind have kind of gone down that route as well. This is obviously the same company, Google DeepMind. They've tried to apply some of what they've been tinkering with in the 3D environment generators and move it on to image generators as well, which is really cool to see. You can turn a simple canvas into an interactive education tutor. You can do multi-image fusion. And it's really easy to get building with this as well. There is an API, so you can obviously bring that into workflow, so that could be really useful for you if you're trying to sell apps or trying to build stuff at scale. You can put this in an NAM workflow, or you can put this in an app that you could then sell if you could build something on top of it. So many use cases for things that you can do with it, I think. Should we open up the floor? I'm curious, having introduced it, what people are thinking about this. Do people think it's significant, or are you kind of thinking this is just another model that's come out? This is just another day of the week. Let's pass the mic around. Do we have the other mic? I think it's yeah. Do you want to grab that and just pass it around? Do anyone want to chime in on this? I'm curious to hear what you think about Nano Banana as a content creator. First thoughts, yeah. Should we give him the mic?
Honestly, without using it,
Yeah.
I have no idea how it performs. I'm curious, of course, our biggest thing that we've been, working on for a while is like taking all the image gen, video gen stuff and using Photoshop to, get the exact detail that we want, depending on what the client needs. So I'm curious how much this could really replace that and be reliable.
Yep, I'll show you a video in a moment actually that I made myself. I think you'll be impressed with what it can do. If you use this in tandem with VO3, which is what I've done, you can do some really interesting stuff with it. So you don't have to spend ages playing around in Photoshop. There's actually a Photoshop plugin for this. So when people say Google just killed Photoshop. They're not lying. There actually is a plugin, so you could just type what you want and it will apply it to the photograph natively within Photoshop, which is pretty cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyone else want to chime in? Yeah.
Actually, I'm a startup PM, providing a vulture try-on service for Indonesia model.
Oh, great.
That's why I work at Jakarta.
Yeah.
For the demonstrations, and I run away from Jakarta.
Okay.
We already received investments from the Korea Tourism Corporation, and we developed a shopping platform that allows users to try on cosmetics, hijabs.
So, to try on clothes, right? Like just hijabs or other items of clothing as well?
The users can collaborate every item.
Ah, okay.
Cosmetics.
Yeah. What is the tech stack for this? What are you using to build this?
We developed
But is it? Did you build a Did you build a foundational model, or did you build it on something else? Yeah. Okay.
We are fine tuning.
I see. So was it like WAN or like one of the other models?
I can speak that way.
Yeah.
Because of operation.
Okay. Yeah.
I really shocked about Nano Banana.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is open. That's why our startup valuation is declined. So this is a very productive problem.
Yeah.
A lot of people say that AI startup or AI technology is very hard, but it's a very paradoxical problem. Is when big tech open this technology, like an API,
Sure. Yeah.
like our startups will evaluate it. So I just know I just want to know your opinion.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. So what you're touching on for people that don't know is essentially the debate between open source AI and closed source AI. So I just briefly summarize it for people who maybe don't know. Open source AI is where the code and the weights, so like all the code is available essentially publicly. So you can, with one tap of a button, you can copy and paste it and you can run it yourself. So it's obviously very big. These models are very, very big and very large, often a lot of the time. You need to pay for your own infrastructure, your own server. I'm sure you're familiar with how you do this, or you can run it yourself on your own computer if it's small enough. So you're not paying to use the model itself. It's available publicly. It's like a piece of software that you can just grab, but you of course need to pay for all the GPU power to host it. But you also have the other business model, which is closed source, which is where you don't get access to any of the code. You don't know how it works, and that's what OpenAI runs on. And you can plug it in, but you pay per use. You pay per API call for it. So we're doing that, then those costs can quite quickly get out of control. And often these closed source models can get very, very costly very quickly. Yeah, yeah. So the other point as well is, of course, they do obviously train on your data. There are some opt-outs now as well. So it's a big problem. So I'm curious to hear your opinion. Now this is out and it's changing the world. It has sent the AI world bananas. Like, are you considering switching back to an API kind of under the hood, or are you going to stick with the open source, or do you think there's an open source model that could actually probably beat this in a few weeks? Yeah. We'll let him speak, and then we'll go to you. Yeah, curious to hear your opinion as well. Yeah, yeah. Do you want to chime in? Yeah.
Actually, we have a plan to meeting on Tuesday, but VC don't want to using API of Google.
Sure.
So we should develop.
Yeah, yeah. Big problem. So yeah. Do you want to chime in on this as well? What are your thoughts? I feel like you've got a strong opinion. Yeah.
Super hardcore deep
Yep.
So I bought like one of the I don't know if you know the strict signal chip from AMD.
Yeah.
I bought like a mini PC with this,
Sure.
€2,000. But now I'm running like a couple of models locally, and I can use like image generation, image editing. I have like a coding model,
Sure.
that I use. And I use it for my coding only. It works pretty well. I would say it's like not 100% cloud level, but it's private and like you don't need to pay for API calls anymore. So for me, it's worth it.
And that runs on your own machine, to be clear. Okay. Wow. So
like
yeah.
said, it's like running in my whole lab basically, and I connected it with Pay Scale, so I can use it from here. Right?
Sure.
It runs in Europe, but like.
And did you do the maths when you did that? Did you think, okay, how much am I spending on Claude Code or on Codex, and then how much am I going to spend on this 2000? Yeah.
Also just like I like really geeking out
Okay, yeah. Yeah. Sure. Oh, yeah, of course. I imagine that's pretty high. Yeah, amazing. Yeah. Is it? Is everybody following this conversation? So if anyone's not too deep into AI and GPUs and graphics cards, feel free to shout and I'll try and explain and make sure that everybody has a broad level understanding of where we're at. No problem. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Rebecca, did you want me to explain something? Yeah, yeah. A little bit lost, yeah. So when you're talking about when we're talking about AI, do you understand what is the concept between closed source and open source? So closed, yeah, yeah. There you go. Closed source is the ability to you pay the provider. So you pay OpenAI per how much you use it. So you say you pay them $10 and you get so many what we call tokens. They're like credits for how much you can use with it. So you have to pay them per use. So if you use 10 million tokens a month to build your app that's built around OpenAI, you have to pay them so much money, and it goes up the more you use. If you don't want to do that, you can use other models. Other people have invented models and they've released them to the public. So all the data is there. You just copy and paste that piece of software yourself, but you have to pay to do all the hosting yourself. So this piece of software that you would use is huge. It's like a piece of software. You have to run it yourself. So you have to buy space in the cloud to be able to run it. So you have to buy what's called GPUs. They're like graphical processing units. They're called, and that's kind of the currency of AI. So when you pay OpenAI, they obviously have their own data center, and they're paying for that data center to use it. When you're using an open source model, you're responsible for buying up your own server and your own compute power and your own GPU. So there's a cost per month to do that, or you've got to buy your own really highly powerful computer. So I think it was just telling us he spent 2,000 euros, was it, on your machine? Yeah. So yeah. So it's got to be a really powerful machine to be able to run those models. So you've got to pay quite a lot of money up front. Yeah. For running the AI models. So think ChatGPT, but instead of paying ChatGPT some money for using it, you would be able to use a different model that isn't maybe by OpenAI, is by a different company. You could run it on your machine, and so you could run it locally. So you don't have to pay them every month. You don't have to pay them like $20, $100, $500 for your use of ChatGPT. You can simply just buy your machine and you can have the model and you own the AI model itself to run on your machine. Yep, yep. There we go. So we're just having a bit of a debate about what setups there are. So Nano Banana, to bring it back to Nano Banana is a closed source model. That means you have to pay every time you use it. But the closed source models, the ones where you have to pay every time you tend to use it, they tend to be much more powerful than some of the open source ones. Having said that, the open source ones are catching up with them. So if you have a business, like a guy here, he's got his business, and then a model like this comes out, the debate is: are you actually going to pay your API subs to Google every month to pay for this model, which is going to be expensive, for a lot better use for a higher quality product, or are you going to stick with spinning up your own servers and using your own models in the back end? So every time a new model like this drops, for somebody in business, it's a bit of a calculation. You have to really think hard about what you're going to do and what people kind of expect. And as he was saying, different people who are VC backed, VC funders, some of them don't like you using APIs. They don't like you using Google. There's a problem with the data as well. If you're paying Google, you're also sending your data there as well, so that it might not be protected, particularly your code base, it might not be proprietary. Something like your code base, your vibe coding an app, you kind of want to protect that in a lot of ways. So you probably don't want necessarily all the time, if you're a very big company, to be sending that off to a um, to a Google or to an OpenAI, because they'll have access to your whole code base, and then they can just use it to train their models. So that's something to think about as well. So yeah, lots to think about in the open source closed source debate with Nano Banana. Let's talk about some actual use cases, which I think is really interesting there. So I'll show you something that I've made with it first, then we can go on to talk about some of the other stuff. So as I said at the start, I host a YouTube channel for Gcore. Gcore are a big cloud computing company. So like we were talking about running your own models, these are who you would go to if you wanted to run your own model. You would go to them and you would say, I want this many GPUs, I want this much compute power to be able to run it, and then say, okay, here's your bill for renting computers from us every month in the cloud. So I'm hosting this show, and I wanted to make a title sequence for my weekly AI news show on Gcore for their audience, for their YouTube channel. So since Nano Banana has come out, I combined Nano Banana with VO3 and I had a little bit of fun. So I'll show this to you now, and you can tell me what you think of it. And I also made a song of it as well. So what I did is I went to 11 Labs. 11 Labs have a music feature in them, so you can ask it to make a song. So it came up with a little bit of a jingle about Gcore and about me, and made a song about it. And then I put that song over some cleverly done VO3 work and some Nano Banana work. So here we go. We'll have a little bit of watch, and you can tell me what you think. So just bring it up. Very first time I'm showing you this in public, so I had a little bit of fun. It's not completely finished yet, but this is a good first draft of some of the stuff that you could do if you combine. How do we get it so it goes full screen? Let's export it and download it. So this shows you what you can do with Nano Banana and with VO3. So as you can see, I've managed to include myself in it. I've trained what's called a LoRa. This is a low rank adaptation. This is where you can clone yourself. So you give maybe 10 or 15 images to the model, and it will make a version of yourself, and you can add that to the image model. All right. All right, here we go. And it's not working. My computer's frozen. Just when I want to show it. Let me escape this. Yep. So this is the oldest photograph ever taken. It was taken in 1826, and it's showing rooftops visible from a second-story window. So it's using a very early technique of photographing. So you could just about make out some of the details on it. So somebody actually gave this to Nano Banana and said, "Could you recreate this?" And they did. So this is what they've come. This is what they've come up with. It's called View from Window at La Grasse. It was taken in 1826, I believe, in Paris. So one of the cool things you could do with it is you could restore historical photographs. So here we go. This is the oldest photograph in history, and this is talking about how you can use Google Nano Banana to bring these photographs back to life. So as we introduce, this is the oldest photograph in history.
First known photograph in history, taken in 1826. This photo, titled Quandev Brass, is featured on the oldest photo forum in the history of photography. Of course, you can't understand what you see on the screen, but Helmut-Geheim's version of the photo appeared in 1952. So you might have thought of it as the first photograph ever taken, especially in this form. Now, as you know, the photo enhancement technology previously known as Nano Banana has now been revealed to be owned by Google, and with photo editing from Samin, you can now significantly improve your photos. This system, Google's photo enhancement system, allows.
So yeah, if we move this video on along, so you can see this is what Nano Banana has come up with on the right hand side, which is pretty insane. So it doesn't necessarily completely accurately depict everything that's in here. So if you can see like here quite obviously this part it's kind of invented, but it's got all the core details of it. Just imagine what it might be, right? So you've got like the sloping roof, this part. I just think it's amazing that it could do that. And this is one shot, by the way. So you put it in there, and it makes this. So incredibly cool.
The tree. The roof of the barn in front of us has beautifully restored this excellent results. So I submitted the photo you see on the screen.
There we
What's the
go.
significance of this photo? This photo was taken by Robert Cornelius in 1839, and its significance is that it's the first self-portrait. So Robert stands in front of what we might call a camera, thanks to the photographic technologies of that time. And while technically a photo is produced instantly when you press the button, it takes at least 10 to 15 minutes. I specifically asked my wife, who also has a degree in photography, edited accordingly. I asked if you could remove the flaws in the photo and colorize it, and this is what we've done.
Yeah.
Below, he clearly understood that he was standing.
So that's crazy. It's got the Laura right in there. So let's see if you can bring the original up beside it.
He preserved the hair detail.
Yeah, that's completely crazy. Look at the facial details. Look at how it's managed to recognize them. So, obviously, if you were to go back in time and put this in color, you could obviously see that it probably isn't wearing the same thing as this guy. But it's pretty incredible, right? As a sort of a likeness, a representation of it. So the sort of ability on this, and remember, we talked about before, like training a LoRa. You'd need 15 photographs of it, and it would take you quite a while to get a good one. And now this is just a one shot. You upload this photograph, and you say, I want this colored, and I want all the blemishes taken out of it, and it does it. So I tried to do this with some of black and white photos of my ancestors as well. It didn't do as good a result as this. It didn't quite manage to capture the details. So, but
He removed the distortion.
pretty impressive.
Assumed his throat was already there, and specifically assumed he was wearing a shirt on the distorted side, and provided us with a result accordingly. Let's move on to our next photo. What is the significance of this photo? It's J.W. Black's walking stick through the eyes of a
Go for it. Yeah.
Do you think Laura's are going to be obsolete?
That's a really good question. I mean, evidently yes. I mean, evidently from this, I think that they are. I mean, it's yeah, exactly. I mean, I think the value at the moment is that you do them once and then you don't have to keep uploading a frame of reference. You'll notice when you use Nano Banana, you have to keep uploading the image. You have to keep uploading the image every time. It doesn't necessarily keep the context. It's not like it's keeping the context window.
I guess more like long term. I'm sure there'll be
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
stored and then use it.
Yeah. Is everybody familiar with LoRa? Do we know what we're talking about when we say LoRa? Yeah. Yeah. LoRa is low rank adaptation, is what it stands for. And it's basically a way of training the model. It's sort of kind of like fine tuning, a more cost effective way of fine tuning the model with a series of data. So it could be like your face. So you're training the image model to recognize your face. So you give it 15 photos of yourself, and then it knows that, okay, this model now knows this is you. And so it's basically a file, a tensor file, and adds it to the model. So once it has that URL, that specific file, then every time with a reference name that you label, it will know to call your face. So if I put in Harry Verity, and I train this model, that's how you would get the likeness of yourself before. So what we're talking about now is that you don't need to go through that step. It actually takes a couple of minutes. If you wanted to do a really, really sophisticated one, you'd probably need like what 100 images maybe, and you'd probably need like maybe a few hours to actually get a very, very sophisticated one. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Do we want to get the mic so we can hear? Yeah. Are you sure? Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If everyone can hear each other. Yeah. No, better than that. You give it one image and it does that. So you don't need 20 images. You need one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, you made a really good point, and that's to answer your question, right? You said yeah,
From the efficiency
yeah,
point of view,
yeah,
at some point using a model,
yeah,
an
yeah,
open source one, which will get close to this and adding a LoRa, will get a leverage. But now this general model is so good that any open source with a lot of LoRa, it's almost on par with that.
yeah,
So, but it's losing a lot of your resources and the tokens and everything. I mean, now it's more expensive, but in the future, if imagine this having LoRa. So
yeah.
that's the real question.
Yeah, from an efficiency point of view, LoRa's make no sense anymore. When you can get one image and you could get to maybe, I mean, that looks like to 90 to 95% of what you get in a LoRa. A LoRa, you think about the amount of compute and GPU power to get that extra 5%. So that's a really good point. So always what we're thinking about in AI is we're thinking not just about like the best of the best of the best model all the time. We're also thinking about efficiency as well. We're thinking about how do we get like to such a good result with like a quarter of the effort, so we don't even need to spend that amount of money on it anymore. And really, I think I don't hear many people talk about fine tuning much these days, right? Yeah, yeah, exactly. I heard someone say once they were talking about a use case of like fine tuning Chat GPT on all of Shakespeare's work, and people said, "Well, but why do you need to do that? Because obviously, yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, for most people, like fine tuning is going to be overkill. You're not going to need to do it. So fine tuning in a nutshell is just where you give the model extra data to make it more like what you have. So it'd be like if you ran a law firm and you had a whole bunch of case studies. This would be a good use, probably not a good use of fine tuning. We use RAG. Yeah, exactly. I was just about to make that point. Yeah, you've yeah, exactly. You've preempted my point. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. If you go back, let's say 3 years ago, if you go back to 2021, 2022, fine tuning was the way people added their own data set into the models, and then we invented um, RAG or invented or yeah MCP RAG. It came to the forefront. So RAG is a way of essentially putting your retrieval augmented generation. It's a way of putting your information in a database, chunking it up into small parts, and then the model intuitively calls out the bits it needs at the right time. That's again more efficient, not as good, but
And
efficiency.
also,
Yeah,
during the time,
yeah,
you said that we were using LoRa in the beginning, but
yeah.
now the models are not, it's trillions of parameters
Sure.
with dozens active at a time. So we have that's why you don't need the LoRa anymore because a few dozens
Yeah.
which are active are in that
Yeah.
area.
But again, in case so that we don't lose people, parameters are the way that we measure the essentially the size of the model. If we want to talk about it in very basic terms, so the more parameters we have, the bigger the model, the more powerful the model, but then the more expensive it's going to cost us to run it essentially. So GPT-4 we think was about 1 trillion parameters. I think that's fair to say. They just put out a new open source model, open source where you can clone it yourself. 120 billion parameters, so you can see the difference. Yeah, is that you have it? You downloaded it? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but there is Kim with 1 trillion or something.
Yeah. So
Yeah, you can. No, you can. You cannot. That's
yeah.
for certain.
For that, you probably need a data center in your own house if you want to run that. So that's the kind of next level. Let's see what happens with this image. We'll see if we can get the title sequence up that I made. Yeah.
The oldest successful aerial photograph taken in 1860, a photograph taken from above. And when I sent it to Samina, I said, "This is one of the earliest aerial photographs." I asked, "What do you think this photo from 1860 would look like if it were taken with today's technology? Can you recreate it, taking into account the sharpness, color, and lighting?" And this photo came back.
It's
It looks
crazy.
exactly like it would if the same frame were taken.
So there you go. That is insane, isn't it? So that this is the oldest sort of aerial photograph ever taken. Yeah, 1860s. This is full view of Boston. So this is Boston, taken on the 18th, um, 13th of October, 1860. So 13th of October, 1860. This is a view of yeah, yeah. So I don't know how they made that. It definitely wasn't in a helicopter unless they've time traveled. So let's bring it up. You can see this. Now, what's cool is that it's got some of the detail, but it's not completely accurate.
But it
Yeah,
changed the perspective.
yeah,
It's
yeah. This is diffusion technology is always going to be an interpretation of what is in this image, which is really interesting. I think it struggles when you have a lot of data points to completely accurately map them. But it gets the general sentiment of it. So it knows that there's a river, that this is a port town. So we see that in there. Yeah, yeah. And this is really the challenge, right? Is that this is probably up to like 90%, but then that last 10%, which is how do you, when you have an image that has all of these different parameters in, how do you map them? Yeah.
What about splitting the image in multiple ones and trying to recompose them? And
Yeah.
even overlap portions of them to get a
That
better
is
context. So,
yeah.
Just split it in
Yeah.
8 pieces, then try to get.
Yeah. That is probably the way that you would try to do it. I wonder whether that would work because it would need to get every single piece exactly right. So if it made a small mistake in one and then another small mistake in another, when you put them together again, that could result in a mismatch.
The
Yeah.
idea is to split them so they will overlap.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
so you can merge them
Yeah.
parts of it.
Yeah.
So it's
But
not
yeah. Yeah.
I mean it's not each one of the images
Yeah.
separate. They are blended. I mean with the neighbors.
I see.
So in that way, it's increasing the accuracy.
Maybe. Yeah. And that would certainly be a good experiment to run, is whether you could do that to see whether they work. Um, I mean, there's just so many things you can do. I have an MA in history. I love history. So for me, this is just the idea that you could bring things back to life from black and white. So we can see again, this is a black and white image, clearly taken of some animals, some birds, and you can bring it back to life. Now, here's the thing that I think is really interesting, right? This technology now exists. So we've seen that we can restore these really old images. We can get new perspectives on things that we perhaps didn't have before and study new details because this technology has maybe picked out really, really small details that we couldn't see because it was distorted or lost and reimagined them and reinterpreted them, which is really interesting, I think. Somebody who came to this meeting maybe about 7 or 8 months ago, really, really interesting guy, he'd invented this technology, or somebody had written a paper on this technology a long time ago. And what it did is it essentially distilled an image from, let's say, CCTV. Let's say you have hours and hours and hours of CCTV. Often businesses will delete them after 30 days because they obviously cannot afford to keep, their library of 2 years, 3 years of CCTV. What about if you could distill all that down to a very, very small file, which he did, and then be able to use diffusion technology to basically blow it back up to recreate it. And that's what he'd done. He'd built a paper. He did his PhD on this and put it out there. Really fascinating technology from a criminal standpoint. It would enable people to store files that would be like petabytes in actually like kilobytes, even smaller than that. And
Is
to,
it
yeah,
automatically? I mean, is it
yeah.
100% same?
I would say it would be. I saw the results. It would be 98 to 99% accurate,
Pretty good.
but it would lose certain small, tiny details in some of the pixels. So he posited the idea: could he sell this to Google? Like Google obviously has petabytes of storage data of people's photos. If you could say if your photo hasn't been looked at for 2 or 3 years, uh, Google is still storing it on their storage. Could you then blow that back up using when someone wanted to get it out of the archive using this technology? And would that be cheaper from a cost perspective? So on a massive corporation level, maybe. But then would people get pissed off, right? If you knew that your photograph wasn't your original anymore, it was a diffusion model.
Really
Yeah,
see the comparison with the compression algorithms,
sure.
which are
Yeah,
using some kind of crazy vectors and stuff like that.
yeah.
Because compression is
Yeah,
also
I think this took it to the max, right? It compressed it so far down, basically, that it was like a few pixels, but it was able to use diffusion technology to blow it back up again. So I'm not quite sure of all the details on how it worked,
we
but
should see
yeah,
about
yeah,
the difference with the compression
yeah,
algorithm, the state of the art one, and
yeah.
his approach.
But yeah, absolutely. I'll send you the research paper, and you can yeah, I can put you in
There is
touch.
also the
Yeah,
cost to retrieve and recreate
exactly.
everything each time and
Yeah,
stuff like that. So,
exactly. It's not as straightforward
but
as
anyway,
that's
for the
that.
PhD and for the art,
For the idea, yeah, amazing, right? Yeah, let's see if I can show you some of the. Here's another one. So this one is really good. Um, so let's get the original up. So this is the original black and white image. You can see um, somebody taking a photograph, and then this is
someone is taking a photograph of himself,
of
looking at himself.
itself, yeah, and then this is the recreated image, right? So you can tell it's computer generated, but it's wow, yeah.
So it's not the same person, left and right.
No, I don't think it is.
It looks the same, and yeah, funny that the guy doing the picture should be himself as well.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Maybe all the people look like that back then.
I think yeah, people have a similar look going on, didn't they? There wasn't much choice in terms of look if you wanted to be a gentleman. Yeah, I mean, incredible. Coloured the what? Yeah, yeah, that's yeah, that's a bit of overkill, isn't it? Didn't need to colour that. And you can see some of it still looks a bit black and white, doesn't it? You can some of the staircases and the things like that. So again, it captures a general sentiment. It doesn't always capture every single precisely all the details. This does image editing really well. So you could actually take this image, you could put it into Nano Banana, and you could say remove this. So we can.
It doesn't have crazy hallucinations. So better to
Yeah,
be safe than go crazy.
yeah, exactly. I'm keen to show you this title sequence that I've made. I'm very proud of it. So yeah, should we see if we can get it up on the computer? Maybe I can send it to you. Yeah, yeah. Um, all right. So I made this using VO3 and Nano Banana. So I'm jumping out of a helicopter, and then you can see I put the flag of Luxembourg in here. So this is actually G-Core's actual offices. This is the entrance to them, and I'm actually get their logo. Yeah, yeah. It's just really.
That's a
And,
good reason.
yeah. And then this is the real studio where I film the videos.
Yeah, I saw from
Yeah.
the background.
A long time. Yeah. Too long. Yeah. Probably too much. I've spent too much time on it. But you can see how like I didn't need to use LoRa. I didn't. I didn't need to train a model. You could just literally put a picture of the studio in and say, I want you to move the light down. I want you to put me in the studio. So if we go back and we where are we? Load it again. Yeah. So if you see, there's some small details that I was able to get in. So um, this flag here, obviously the company are based in Luxembourg, and that's not a very common flag because the blue, if you notice, looks very similar to the flag in the Netherlands, which is a dark blue. So this took me a lot of time to get it to do that. I had to ask it a couple of times. Really want this really light blue, but in the end it did it, and it managed to put this in there. And then I use Nano Banana to insert myself basically into this. So this is a screenshot of G-Corp's the entrance to their offices in Luxembourg. So the idea is I'm jumping out of a helicopter, running into their offices. So I was able to take a screen grab on Google Street View and then say, here's the back of me with a parachute on. Can you plant me in there? And then you take that Nano Banana image and you use VO3 to generate it. And then here I was able to say I want like a plaque on the wall that has the G-Core logo on it, and they were able to was able to do that. And then I said I have a security guard running after me, and then this part. Hang on. So then I managed to get it to make a sign that kind of said, okay, wardrobe department, so that it kind of disguised the fact that I'm obviously wearing different clothes when I'm in the studio. So this text it did really well as well, the Nano Banana. It said to it, okay, can you write a sign? When the VO3 model made this on the back wall, it was just like kind of garbled text. And so you could take a screenshot of that, give it to VO3 and ask it yeah.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
So you did this without prompt engineering helping, let's say. But
Yeah.
what's the difference
Yeah.
on what the SaaS companies creating images and videos are doing extra? Because now Nano Banana is so good that the ones using the other differential models, get
Yeah.
almost the same result. So how can we improve further
Yeah.
on the prompts?
Yeah, so you make a really good point. So I would say two things. I would say, first of all, there's this term that goes around. It's called the AI gold rush. And it means that something like this comes out and you say, there's a whole bunch of people out there that don't know about this. So I'm going to go away and I'm going to make a SaaS product. And I'm going to call it like AI amazing. I'm going to call it like Mango AI, right? Yeah. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the API from Google. I'm going to mark it up. I'm going to put a fancy wrapper around it. And then I'm going to flog this to a whole bunch of people that aren't in this AI space. Yeah.
You really need to add something extra.
Yeah.
So not a LoRa, but at least some prompt
Yeah.
presets, templates,
Yeah.
prompts.
Yeah.
And did you feel the difference by writing the prompt bigger and bigger and bigger and adding more details to the prompt?
I didn't feel you needed to do that with Nano Banana. I felt like you said it in one shot, and it would do good. It would go away and do it. Yeah.
So the VO was the one making problems with the flag and everything.
Yes, probably. Yeah, the VO made more of a problem than the Nano Banana. So then, what I would do is I would know VO3 would not make me a Luxembourg flag off the cuff. So I would go to Nano Banana because I knew it would behave. Tell it to make me the image, and then I would feed the image into VO3.
But is there something better than VO3 currently?
Kling, I would say, is better than VO3. Kling 2.1, yeah. Kling, I would say generally is better. It just so happens, by the way, I have free access to VO3, unlimited free access to it. So yeah, I didn't have to pay any money for it. So of course I was gonna just use that, which is amazing, by the way. I'm so grateful that I have access to that. Because it's very expensive if you want to build this. So it means I could make unlimited generations of it. Yeah, right. There's someone who comes to this meeting who knows the Google Press Office very well, who gave him free access to it. who I'm very grateful to, who then gave it to me. So yeah, very, very, very generous people at Google for giving free access to it. Right, exactly. Yeah. So it's crazy, right? So my point is to what you said. Like, I think that there are people who basically take advantage of people. It's called knowledge arbitrage, right? You take advantage of knowledge that people don't have, and you put a wrapper around it. But you shouldn't expect those businesses to last forever, right? So that's why it's called a gold rush. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
It's just my insistence. I strongly insist that we should not using AI. We want to operate our own business like using AI. AI is not used as a main feature. It's just using as a leverage. And my thing, we should make our platform or to give an effort to make a network effect as user by user or user and customer, a user and our selling products. And then, that's we can create the moment ultimate the goal.
Yeah, you've made some really good points there. Like, you definitely shouldn't be using. It depends what you're doing, right? If your mindset is just like, I'm taking advantage of the AI gold rush right now, I'm going all in on Nano Banana for the next 3 months. You can play that game, go in, you make your cash, and then you check out. People were making lots of money from selling colorized photos on Facebook groups for a long time, and all they were doing was putting them through, some of these AI tools, right? So yeah, 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 exactly, yeah, 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 yeah. So my point is, I'm not encouraging people to do that. I'm saying you can't. There are people that are doing that. I don't I don't particularly find that very interesting, very exciting. What I find exciting is people who are doing genuinely innovative things and who are thinking outside the box and who are not just thinking, here's the next thing, let's do it. So Alan and Billy, who are both engineers who come to this meeting a lot, it'd be really good for you to talk to them. They're not here right now. Alan was a senior machine learning engineer at Provectus. Billy was the chief software engineer at Visa, the credit card company. They recently sold their startup, Recruit AI, for a considerable amount of money. And Recruit AI is a interview platform, AI interview platform. So it can do the whole run. It can do CVs. It can rank the CVs, but you can also do the whole interview process. So you can sit down and you can have an interview with an AI avatar rather than a real person. And so what they've really cleverly done is that they sold it right at the set. No, for real interviews, you have the choice. The candidate has the choice if they want to have a real interview with an AI avatar. They actually demoed it at the meeting, and Billy came in after he'd sold it, and he told us uh, he's thinking, what should you do? He's a serial entrepreneur in San Francisco. I think he got his first funding round when he was still at college, so he's that kind of person. Sorry. So yeah, companies, real big companies, have got this in their they've started to implement it, which is it's good, right? What he's built is good, but he knew that everybody else was going to jump on this train, so they saw that this was going this way, and they were one of the first people to do it. But they realized they'd need more investment, and they need to sell it to a bigger company if they were going to be able to compete in the market in a year's time. So they essentially built enough. They built a very, very strong MVP to the point at which they could then sell it and get investment for it and sort of cash out. And yeah, yeah, yeah. But that doesn't mean that that business is like the same as those ones that are like you're just making the next big thing. The difference is they have sold it to a company that is able to obviously bring on engineers that are even more experienced than them to be able to put the resources into it for it to be able to compete against all the other players on the market. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Please, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and we had a big meetup here just after Billy and Alan sold their startup. Their investors who'd actually invested in their startup were all here from Silicon Valley, and they actually gave a bit of a fireside chat. It's on YouTube. You can watch it on my channel. And we asked them, okay, what do you think about when you go to invest in a company? And they had some surprising answers. Some people said it's a little bit woolly, which okay, fair enough. They're never going to tell you exactly what to do. But they said a couple of things. They said, first of all, they don't necessarily even look at the product. Often they're looking at like the person themselves. Do they have the right attitude? They said also, you cannot get away without having an MVP these days. So you cannot just rock up and say, it's like Dragon's Den, I've got this idea and here's, a 20-page plan about how you do it. You actually have to go out and build it and put some resources in it and show some skin. And velocity, as you said, was one of the things they said. Like, have you got speed? Are you doing things really, really, really fast? And they said those are the things of the markets that they would invest in. They're almost looking for who is going to be the most successful, not what is the most successful. Because even if it's not a successful outcome, they're going to go on to make other things and they've bet the right horse. So that's really important to remember as well. Did anyone else want to weigh in on that topic while we're on it about like AI startups and is anyone thinking how they're going to use Nano Banana to go out and sell some products or do some things tomorrow? Yeah. Yeah. There's some really cool people who are using these tools to actually do TikTok videos, fully AI generated TikTok videos to sell things. That's another a good use case, a good business model for it as well. So obviously that's a service based business. Some of them that I know actually do it on a commission basis. So they go in to someone who's got a product and they say, I'm just really, really good at selling. And then the script is written by Claude and then refine the script to an nth degree to be able to sell the product. They know how to use VO3, Laura's Kling, and now Nano Banana makes it even easier to do product placement as well. So there's lots of businesses that could be built on top of this, basically using this to sell it as a service, which is really cool. Same time, you might be exposed because a lot of businesses might say, well, I'm just going to hire someone in-house to do this for me. I'm just going to do it myself because it's so easy now. So, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Master your tools, delegate, velocity. So these are all the ways of thinking. There's no right or wrong way to be a success in this space. I think the people that make the most amount of money, the people that are the smartest, the people that move fast, the people that are seeing this now and are already thinking about how do I use this, how can I experiment and sort of make a bit of a mess. But I also do think that the people who don't just immediately take action. Also, people who've come up with some sort of clever plan as well for how to do this. Like I said, easiest business in the world right now. I don't think it's going to last probably more than like maybe a month or 2 months. Is you get the API, you make mango, nano mango, nano strawberry, nano blueberry, whatever you want to do. Probably there's a whole bunch of guys that have like bought up all those domains already, and then you just make an API wrapper and you put that out, and maybe you put a little bit of a layer on top of it. So yeah. Before we wrap up, I think there's just a few more things, a few more stories I'll point your attention to. As my computer's not working, I'll just say them out loud. Grok have got a new coding model, so go check that out. It's cheaper than ChatGPT. It's called Grok Fast, I think one. Fast, yeah. It's been trained specifically for coding, so go check that out. Have a play. Grok, Grok, GRO, not Grok as in GROQ, GROK, Elon's model. Yeah,
Yeah, we know.
yeah,
But
yeah.
have you? Oh, so before
Sure.
Grok, the difference between GPT-5 and Sonnet, which one are you using?
So you're talking about Claude 4.1 Sonic, Claude 4 Sonic?
Opposite for one.
Yeah. Oh, Sonic. Yeah, correct me. Yep.
And Grok, so have you played with them?
Yeah. Should we do a straw poll? Who uses Claude 4 on a regular basis? Okay. Yeah. 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 Or let's change the phrasing of the model. Which is everyone's favorite all-purpose model right now? Is everyone use it? Yeah. ChatGPT. Is that the consensus?
It's slower and
Yeah.
Claude Sonnet is better
Yeah.
even now.
And yeah, yeah. And is anyone using Grok? Anyone using Grok? You're using Grok, yeah. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
For local coding, it's not
not enough. I mean, you can never get good results with. Yeah, I've tried them. I run them, but no, you cannot. And Opus above everything, but it's a
Yeah.
bit more expensive.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I find that now a lot of people are getting multiple subscriptions because they want to use different models for different things. So I think OpenRouter is generally the go-to that I recommend. It's the fastest for if you want to. So OpenRouter is you pay money to it, and then you can get like FAL, but more for text models. You can basically use those credits however you want. So you can say, okay, I want to use these for Grok 4, I want to use these for Sonnet or whatever, and it does API calls.
Do you
So
use the
yeah,
thinking models or just the normal ones?
for me,
Yeah, because
yeah,
the thinking ones are
yeah.
again.
Yeah, again, it depends what task, right? I've used thinking models for, uh, when I want a comprehensive answer for something. I'm trying at the moment to set up this new lip sync model on Comfy UI on G-Core servers because I'm going to make a tutorial video about it. And so I'm using Grok to help me sort of debug that and set that up, which is cool. So I can obviously make a video and show people how to do that, how to set up Comfy UI. So Grok's helping me out more than Claude is. Claude, I'm getting frustrated by the rate limits like everyone else. So I'm kind of seeing that maybe the grass is greener on the other side. Maybe I can get Grok, but then Grok doesn't have MCP servers, so I can't have it connected to Notion, or so that's a big disadvantage of Grok. ChatGPT I don't use that much, I have to say, which is weird, I guess, for a guy in AI to say, but I really don't. I find Claude and Grok are my kind of go-to, and obviously Gemini now for making the images. So yeah. Anyone else want to chime in? Okay, yeah. Yes, yeah, by OpenAI, yeah. Yeah. Which one's better? Or you use them both? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm super curious, my open source man. What are your use cases? Because I feel like we're getting it. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, so yeah. So my point of asking that question was, we're talking like again apples and bananas, mangoes and bananas, right? Like it depends what you're doing. It depends on your use case. So yeah, yeah,
Model for generating code and using another one for doing the review, that's a good approach because sometimes they really catch something. Mhm. Yeah, there's also the GitLab, which are having the Duo stuff like that, and Cursor also has the barcode and everything like that. So there are options.
yeah, yeah. All right, guys. I think that will leave it at there for today. So I hope you enjoyed this and got something out of it. I hope you go away and play with Nano Banana. So feel free to do that. I am on LinkedIn. So if you look for Harry Verity on LinkedIn, I can't unfortunately bring it up. I think unless you can we go on LinkedIn on the laptop? Yeah, and I'll bring up my profile. So yeah, you're welcome to reach out to me. I'm always interested in a chat about all things AI. And like I said at the beginning, I'm also all over YouTube at the moment. I'm on G-Core's channel presenting more technical stuff if that's your vibe. And if you're looking for more business use information about how to think about AI and implement it in your business, a lot less technical, then you can follow my personal channel as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Harry, and then yeah, Verity.
So you are from Luxembourg.
Not from Luxembourg, no.
But
From the UK.
from the UK.
UK, yeah. The company is in Luxembourg.
Ah,
yeah.
yeah. So this
Yeah.
is like
Yeah.
follow you.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. So if you're interested in following me, I try to put out some posts every week that I think will be helpful about AI. Hope you found this useful. And yeah, I hope to see you all next week. It was great to hear from some devs, and I hope even if you weren't completely following the conversation, you got the gist of what we were talking about. So great. All right, see you same time next week.